Do you love the new 121.5 blocks and want to know how to farm them? Well, look no further. If you want a bunch of the new wildflower blocks, then this setup is all you're gonna need. All we got here is a sticky piston running into an observer clock, so this is two observers whose faces are looking at each other, and that'll output a really quick clock into this dispenser filled with bone meal. And if you turn this on, you'll see you get a bunch of wildflowers. This setup will also work for the pink petals as well as the original two tall flowers. Very cool. Next up, we got a bit of a universal design that will work for the firefly bush, the short and tall dry grass, as well as the bush. My favorite. All we have here is a row of dispensers on either side with two blocks in the middle. I like to use mud at the bottom of this because it's less than a full block, which means that hoppers can pick up through the mud block. Again, all we've got here is a sticky piston with two observers whose faces are looking at each other, and then redstone along the top of the dispensers. These chests are optional, but you can also fill them up with bone meal if you need a ton of things. So all you need to do is click this on, and ta-da! We've got a bunch of this grass. I personally recommend getting a Silk Touch Efficiency 5 hoe. And then if you switch to survival, you can see here that you just smash out a bunch of these. The cool thing with this design is that you'll get a good mix of the short and tall grass, and you'll also get a pretty decent amount of the bush and firefly bush. For the firefly bush, you actually only need to use your fists, you don't need a tool at all, but for these three you do need a tool. Either the hoe with Silk Touch and Efficiency 5, or some shears will work just as well. The really cool thing about using a hoe is that it actually doesn't use durability when mining this stuff. So you can keep going forever and you won't ever need to repair this, which is pretty cool. The shears do take durability, so I think that's pretty cool. These next two designs are for the cactus flower farm. This one is just for a single cactus, and you can do something a little bit like this. You've got an observer looking at the top block with a gap in the middle, which will send out a signal to a copper bulb, which then runs a signal to both this piston, which is a sticky piston, and this piston, which is a normal piston. So this works so that the observer sees whatever grows here. That works if it is a cactus, or if it is a cactus flower, and that will come and push it off. This thing is pretty simple, but it is pretty slow. You won't get a huge output from this. So I recommend something a little bit like this, which is the design that Etho showed off in his latest Let's Play. I won't spend too long explaining this one. Essentially, we got a double piston extender hooked up to a clock, and the slime blocks will push this off. This is set up to an Etho hopper clock with all of the slots filled, running into 3 copper bulbs, which extends the time of the hopper clock to about 33 minutes, roughly. And then this sets off into a pulse extender, which then shoots all this off. And if I click this right now, you should see this work. Just like that. And this is infinitely expandable, so you can run as many of these next to each other as you have resources to do so. All you need is a 4-tick repeater in between the modules. And this is pretty simple. This is the one I actually built in my single player world, and I built quite a big one. I think it's got about 64 of these units, and it pumps them out pretty well. I would highly recommend this, but there are other designs out there. And last, but certainly not least, the mighty leaf litter. All you need for this is it's just a furnace, really. You put a leaf in, you got some coal, and in a couple of seconds it pumps out some leaf litter. Yeah. Now you should hopefully have a much better idea how to get a bunch of the new resources, and if you want any of these in an extended format, a block by block tutorial, let me know down in the comments and I'll see if I can make that for you. Bye!